A shortage of young men in the workforce could weigh on housing, Social Security, and growth for years to come. So continue chasing them away. Continue giving preferential hiring treatments to whammons. Keep doing that. Yeah, you're so scared about a shortage of young men in the workforce, and yet you continue to do things that drives them away from it. Until you correct your actions, this is not going to stop. America's job market is mysteriously short of young men. Gee, I wonder why. And maybe maybe it's because every damn employer seems to be calling men toxic. Maybe because they want that they all have quotas to get more women in these positions. So they bypass men for hiring and promotion, and those that are there just have enough. No, that can't be it. No, guys just need to man up. Yeah, just man up and put up with the discrimination. So it's a trend experts say would drag on the economy and could take years to fix, mainly because men have already been dropping out of the workforce for decades. When did this start? Oh, right around the time when feminazism started getting more and more power. Right as more and more women were being forced into the workforce, which that on its own isn't that bad, but it's how, like, notice that HR had no reason to exist until women entered the workforce. Now suddenly HR is there making almost every workforce a hostile environment for men. Oh, that can't be it though. I'm just a bigot, I guess, for saying that. According to Carol Graham, a senior fellow of economic studies at Brookings Institute, labor force participation rate of prime working age men has been declining over the last 20 years. Today, 11% of men aged 25 to 54 don't have a job and aren't looking for one. Maybe you should give them one that's worth it. Stop treating them like shit. Maybe they'd be more inclined to look. Well, more than triple the percentage recorded in 1955, when just 3% were out of the workforce, according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Yeah, back then they kind of had to be, though. So that amounts to around 7.2 million prime working age men who aren't working. That's a lot of, or that's introduced a host of problems for the economy, leaving key industries understaffed and adding to the strain on government services and social safety nets. Graham and other experts told Business Insider. Okay. This is where women have to man up. All of those understaffed industries. Hey, women, time to get into those industries. Show us you could do anything a man can do. We're waiting. Some of them drop out of college and just sort of forlorn and have no purpose or meaning in life. They're not very likely to be married. They're very likely to be living in their parents' basement. Graham said they're lonely. They're isolated. Yeah, and even if all that is true, they're also being constantly laughed at and shamed for it. Oh, and now have you seen the feminazis launching extra attacks on quote-unquote incels recently as well? Like, oh, how many incels do you have working at your company? Oh, you should fire all the incels at your company to make the whammons feel safer. And then complain that you don't have enough men to do the real work. The economic burden can also compound through generations, she added, given that men who have exited the workforce tend to be lower income and are more likely to report mental and physical health problems, which impact their children's ability to build wealth. Yeah, how many of them are actually going to be going on to have children, though? Yeah, I guess that's something a lot of people don't consider nowadays. Zach Mabel, a research professor at Georgetown University, theorizes that falling labor force participation rate among young men could impact the economy for at least several decades, as it already has. At this point, it's a long trend over the course of multiple decades, does not appear to be improving, and could have real long-term consequences, he said. So what are you going to do about it? You know what the problem is. Are you willing to fix it? Oh, you're not? Because that would offend women? Well, deal with it then. All right, the economy appears already be feeling the decline in the male workforce participation. Oh, yeah, but no one really needs these men. All these strong, independent women are more than good enough. Despite a small post-pandemic rebound, U.S. GDP per employee fell 1% in current year -2. the first decline seen since the World Bank began recording productivity data over 30 years ago. The overall labor force participation rate, meanwhile, has slumped to 62%. Besides the years following the pandemic, U.S. workforce participation rate hasn't been that low since the 70s. I think we could beat that. Like, why stop there? We could go further. The trend could weigh on key industries like infrastructure and manufacturing, where women are often less likely to seek work due to social stigma, Mabel said. No, social stigma. Yeah, not at all, because they literally can't do the work. No, it's the social stigma. Oh, okay. So that means it could be hard for those industries to find workers, which is a big problem considering the need for labor is growing in areas like semiconductors, he added. In a situation where you have millions of men foregoing college as a result are less productive and less able to hold a stable job, yes, that certainly would raise concerns. Our national productivity would suffer as a result. Oh, how about this? How about realize they're foregoing college because they are correctly seeing college as a bad deal? Maybe you should remove degree requirements from jobs that don't fucking need degrees. How about that? Oh, but that's not an option, is it? Well, it doesn't matter. Employers that are serious about digging themselves out of this, they'll do it. And while the housing market may be booming now, it is also possible that men leaving the labor force will weigh on that market as well. No, you know what's really going to weigh on the housing market? When all the boomers start dying and all of their properties get back on the market and it'll just be flooded. Yeah, that's what's really gonna affect the market. So Meredith Whitney, a longtime Wall Street forecaster, predicts home prices could drop as much as 3% over a period of years, thanks to men working less, being less interested in starting families, and being more likely to live with their parents. Give them reasons not to. Yeah, you complain that men are this way, and yet you keep supporting everything that makes them this way. Those trends all weigh on household formation, which is the most important factor in determining home prices over the long term. Is it really? It's not investors like BlackRock buying everything up. So 42% of men who have exited the workforce live with at least one parent, a current year -7 Brookings study found. This is such a seismic shift in the social structure, she told Business Insider. It's hard to say how long it lasts. It'll last until feminism is cured, at the very least. Government benefits are also hugely taxed by men who are not in the workforce. Yeah, how dare men collect benefits? No, they need to be out there working so women can collect benefits. Men who have dropped out of the workforce, for one, are significantly more likely to suffer from opioid addiction, Graham said. 44% of men who were out of the workforce said they needed to take pain medication, more than double the portion recorded in employed men. There were just 20% took meds, according to a Brookings study, or a separate Brookings study found. 57% of men not looking for work said they had a physical, mental, or behavioral reason, according to a survey conducted by BPC Artemis. That's probably because they have to have something to qualify for medical disability. 11% of men who have exited the labor force rely entirely on government welfare programs for income, according to Brookings data. They cost the healthcare system. They go to the emergency room and they're sick. They're not going to be able to pay the bills, Graham said. That's coming out of somewhere. Yeah, women, it's time for you to make up the difference. Man up. Women need to man up and just work longer hours so men can continue being taken care of. The welfare burden is exacerbated by the fact that the unemployed men aren't contributing to benefits programs such as Social Security taxes. Yeah, I don't notice this same level of fear-mongering when it comes to unemployed women, though. I wonder why. Potentially more and more people would benefit and depend on resources that we don't have actually the means to provide. And that then would present itself as huge societal conundrum. Yeah. The system has to go down at that point. If it can no longer provide free gibs, something's got to change. Now, there's no clear answer for how to get young men back into the workforce because they don't listen. Look, get rid of all this diversity shit. Make it harder to file a false sexual harassment claim. Get rid of HR. Stop demonizing men and calling them toxic and that they're the problem. That's pretty much all it takes. A cause appear to be multifold: disabilities, incarceration, wages not being enticing enough, to name a few. Yeah, also society in general being misandrist, that contributes as well. But possible solutions could lie in helping train men for jobs that are available, according to Graham, and finding ways to give young men role models, such as hiring more male teachers. Now, you're not going to be able to hire more male teachers unless you protect those teachers from false allegations. Like, no man who's sane wants to work with kids in current year. If you're a man and you show any interest in working with kids, you're automatically branded a creep and a pedo. Yeah, good luck with that. So there's clearly an economic cost for more than one generation if the trends continue. There are lots of ways it costs society in addition to their individual human lives. Maybe if you cared more about these men's individual human lives, they might care more about society. But if anything, that's the simplified version of the problem. Society doesn't care about them, so they don't care about society. Like, it's actually that simple. Maybe if society actually started caring more about men, men would be more inclined to care about society back. But as it exists, no, they just keep being demonized and attacked and shat on. So they just nope out.